with that first win. Kyle Busch vaults himself to the top of the Busch Series standings. Martin Truex Jr., David Green, second and third in those standings.
A couple Nextel Cup regulars. Michael Waltrip in fourth and Greg Biffle in eighth. Greg Biffle has already told us he's going to run all the races, and Michael Waltrip just might.
355 points separate your top 10. Well, let's go down. Mark Garrow.
I think you need to watch out for Kenny Wallace today, guys. He's been running very, very well as of late. Here at Nazareth, 5 top 10s, 7 top 15s, and 8 tries, and has led each of the last 6 Busch races at this racetrack. His best finish is third, so he only has to improve 2 spots to get up there to victory lane and win this last race at Nazareth. What you got, Glenn Jarrett?
Well, Mark, another guy that bears watching is Jason Keller in car number 22. Jason is a former winner here. He is tied with Tim Fedewitt for the most top 10s of all time with 7 here at Nazareth. This is a car that he has won with in the past. The last time they ran it was at St. Louis a few weeks ago, where he finished third. Jason Keller and his new crew chief, Wes Ward, have really started to click. I'm going to go out on a limb, guys, and say he's my pick to win this race today.
Not a bad pick there, Glenn.
I don't think he's going out on a limb.
Not much of one at all.
Let's take a look at the track description, if you can put it into stats and words.
Yeah, as we mentioned, it's a 1-mile racetrack. You see the banking, 3 degrees turn 1, 4 degrees turn 2, turns 3 and 4, 6 degrees. That is very, very flat. 10 degrees is fairly flat for a racetrack. So this racetrack all the way around almost seems like it's banked the wrong way. So it's a very, very challenging racetrack. As we mentioned earlier, the backstretch, 1,200 feet, is the fastest part of the racetrack.
And a race analysis, 200 laps, 200 miles, of course, 1 mile tri-oval.
The pit windows, 85 to 95 laps or miles. Remember, these drivers qualified with these setups. They impounded the cars last night after they qualified, so they have already lost 3 laps of fuel. Now they're going to have 3 pace laps, so that pit window for the first stop could be a little less than what we're seeing, 85 to 95 laps.
And they do want to finish this race under green, so the last lap that they would have a red flag come out would be lap 195. If a caution comes out after that, they would have to finish under caution if they can clean the track in time. We take a look at the weather here at Nazareth, Pennsylvania. A beautiful day. The sun is out, clouds drifting by, oh, ever so slowly, but another gorgeous day in Pennsylvania.
Greg Biffle said he wanted this racetrack to get hot and slick. That's what his setup is for. That's why he didn't qualify all that well. Mike McLaughlin qualified his car. That's why he was a little bit of a handicap, but he said he wants it to be hot and slick.
The sun beating down on the track. Current track temperature 118 degrees. The pace car moves on to pit road. Kyle Busch will see the green flag for the final race of Nazareth Speedway, and we are underway with Busch Series racing.
You want to be single file as quick as you can. The bottom of the racetrack is the group all the way around this place.
That very difficult, what we'll call turn 2, as they come onto the backstretch. Kyle Busch putting a little distance between himself and second place, the 22 of Jason Keller.
Tim Fedewitt in third place. What a great job he does at this racetrack. I can't get over how good he is at this racetrack. Two wins, led a lot of laps here. Does a terrific job. Kyle Busch will lead the first lap and get the 5 bonus points.
That's the 7th time Kyle Busch has led a race this year, and this is only our 12th race.
Just turned 19 a couple of weeks ago. What an incredible talent he is.
Already 4 Busch poles for this young man in just 12 races. That is a great percentage.
If you can bat .333 in baseball, you'd be a Hall of Famer.
Got his first career victory 1 week ago at Richmond. And this is a track that a lot of the drivers have said, once you get out front or once you get through traffic, it's a lot better because it's hard to pass. And you mentioned it too, it's such a flat track.
It sure is. And again, almost off camber, you see everyone get to the bottom of the racetrack. You can pass a slower car here on the outside maybe, but to pass a good car on the outside, you really have to have your act together.
We talked about the drivers that are going to have to move through the pack. The 38 of Casey Kane doing a great job already. He has, like we mentioned, started at the back of the field, but moved up to 25th already, and looking to move up some more positions as well.
That is a terrific move so far. You see him following Jeff Purvis. We've documented his story. So great to have him back in that yellow transportation Dodge of James Finch's. See, looks like Stacy Compton on the outside there.
Side-by-side racing as they go down the back chute. Stacy Compton on the outside of Mike Bliss. Bliss trying to hold the line with Paul Menard in the Menard's 33 just behind these two. Stacy Compton wins the drag race to the start-finish line as they work their way through two.
Mike Bliss finished third in this race last year, has a runner-up finish in the Craftsman Truck Series here, so he knows this racetrack pretty well.
On board with Martin Truex Jr. looking ahead to the Timberwolf 37 of David Green. Martin Truex Jr. with the most wins this season, 3 wins, but yet still second in the point standings.
Just the inconsistency, just a touch of inconsistency. Kyle Busch has been so good. He's been in the top 10 the last 7 races in a row. That's what gets you a bunch of points.
Takes him 6 laps to start to lap the field. He's already put a car down, and so Kyle Busch really riding a rocket around Nazareth Speedway.
Got a little bit over a 1-second lead right now on Jason Keller. Tim Fedewa is third, and his teammate Casey Atwood is in fourth.
A good run early on for the 00 of Jason Leffler. He qualified 8th, already up into 5th position.
Jason has 4 top 10s out of his last 6 starts. A brand new team, essentially, the Haas Automation team. He said it's just taking a little bit of time, but they're doing a great job. They really have their program going right now.
He and Booty Barker seem to be clicking. Booty Barker being his crew chief. Those guys are clicking on all cylinders right now. They feel very comfortable with the equipment they've got. And look at Bobby Hamilton Jr. We had 10 questions with him earlier. I think the question is how long will it take for him to get to the front?
He qualified 10th. But he had the fastest car in practice. He said he left some on the table qualifying. He wasn't sure exactly why. He said, I've got to try to figure out how to translate the information so Harold Holley knows what I need for qualifying.
Jason Leffler on the inside tries to make the pass on Casey Atwood. Not able to do it. And now Bobby Hamilton Jr. looking to get by young Jason Leffler.
That's a give and take corner right there. That's the dogleg, turn number 1. You saw Bobby look to the inside. He was not quite far enough. He wasn't sure Jason knew he was there, so he backed out of it. Got a long way to go.
Now, you were talking earlier, Phil, off camera, about the fact that somebody told you once you could flat foot it all the way through that, what we would call a tri-oval. Now, have you ever been able to run wide open through the tri-oval here?
First time I came here was 1995, and Johnny Benson said, I think you can run the dogleg wide open. Well, the previous year to 1995, we had V6 engines, made a lot less horsepower. So we had the V8s for 1995, and we were going a lot faster down the straightaways. When I got to that dogleg, and I looked, that thing was a sharp turn. I'd never ran it wide open that time, nor have I since.
Well, Kyle Busch running very well out in front with more on him, Glenn Jarrett.
Well, guys, I'm watching the leaders, and they've already started lapping cars. We've only run about 10 laps now, and they're already starting to get into heavy traffic. And I think what that's going to do is going to allow Jason Keller to close in some on Kyle Busch, because Kyle has to kind of wait when he comes up on these cars, pick a spot to get by him, and Jason can follow him right through that traffic. So if Jason can stay close enough to him, he might be able to close up some of that 2.5 deficit that Kyle has put on him already. Hard to believe that in only 10 laps, we've already started lapping cars.
Kyle Busch, an impressive run so far. He's got over 1.5 seconds on second place Jason Keller. He's able to maneuver through the top. Kyle Busch seeming as though he's on a Sunday drive at Nazareth Speedway out in front of Jason Keller. He has over 3.5 seconds of lead on Tim Fedewa currently in the number 12 or in the number 22.
That's Jason Keller, about 3.7 seconds behind. Got a flat tire on the 9 car right there.
Eddie Bear dropping onto the access road to pit road.
That's one nice thing about this racetrack. We talked about the bottom of the racetrack being the place to be, how hard it is to pass. They have an access road to come in and out of the pits here, and the cars are obligated to use that access road. They have a commitment line like we see at a lot of the racetracks, but they have to use, there's the entrance to that access road coming into the pits right now. They will have to use that access road as they make a pit stop.
Real tight race, and Casey Atwood in the Navy number 14 just in front of the Marines number 25. A little bit of battle for the armed services right there. But great racing. Those currently 3rd and 4th, and 4th and 5th. Tim Fedewa up in 3rd, and Bobby Hamilton back in 5th currently. And that's been our top 5 pretty much this whole race so far. With more on Bobby Hamilton, Mark Garrow.
Well, Rick, he is running fifth, but you would think, losing as much ground as he is to leader Kyle Busch, that perhaps he may be communicating with his crew chief, Harold Hawley, on how to make the car better. That couldn't be farther from the truth. Harold just told me Bobby hasn't said a word. He's just behind the wheel, gripping it and ripping it.
Guys like Casey Kane, Michael Waltrip, Greg Biffle, all starting at the back of the field. Michael Waltrip currently is in a little bit of danger going a lap down.
He sure is. He's just a few seconds in front of the leader. That's him trying to get by the 36 car of Steve Grissom. Michael's he's actually passed Casey Kane and moved ahead of him. You see Casey right there, the orange car. But Greg Biffle now has made a pretty major move. He's all the way up to the 18th position. But these fellas right here, Michael Waltrip, Casey Kane, Steve Grissom, are in severe danger of going a lap down. Kyle Busch is breathing down their neck.
Michael Waltrip at the beginning of the season mentioned that if things went well for him, he was going to try to run the whole season. And this was about the time in the season that he said he was going to make his decision. Well, last week at Richmond, it almost made his decision up for him. He did not have a good race a week ago.
Cut something down right there and went very high there. So got into the back of Mike Wallace and spun out here.
4 times Michael Waltrip was involved in accidents or problems. And so a disappointing day for Michael Waltrip. He was your points leader early on in the Busch Series. And then Richmond definitely did not help him in that chase for the Busch Series championship.
Yeah, that was the hardest hit right there, the last of the 4. But Michael obviously is committed to running here. He's committed to running Charlotte next week and then Dover. So, you know, he still may get back in this thing as he tries to get by Jeff Purvis and maybe run for this thing.
Mark?
Michael Waltrip right now is reporting to his crew chief he's sliding the right front tire, so he, like a number of drivers, battling a tight condition, and also one of a number of drivers with Kyle Busch now in his rear view mirror, hoping they catch a quick yellow flag.
And Kyle Busch is the guy who doesn't want to see the yellow come out, because the faster he can click off the 200 laps here, the faster he'll see that checkered flag. Kyle Busch out in front at Nazareth Speedway. Welcome back to NASCAR Busch Series on FX. Kyle Busch continues to dominate, has led all 51 laps so far at Nazareth Speedway, and we haven't heard a lot from him. Glenn, have you heard anything about Kyle Busch?
Yeah, Rick, he called in and told Lance McGrew a while ago that he's starting to lose the front grip, starting to slide the nose a little bit. That what he wanted to do was to adjust the brake bias in the car. He's going to try to turn and put a little bit more rear brake in the car to try to help turn it a little bit quicker. So that's what they're working on right now. Lance said they will make a slight adjustment to the car when they pit, which incidentally should be somewhere around lap 90. So they're a little bit over halfway through this fuel run now. 90 to 92 laps is when they're expected.
Glenn, he's got a miracle right now of Jason Keller. That's the first he's seen of Jason Keller in a long time. But you're exactly right about that brake bias. That's one adjustment a driver has. As Glenn, as you well know, if the car is pushing, you want to put some more rear brake, which means it stops the rear of the car a little bit more percentage-wise than it does the front. Now, if you were loose, you would want to dial more front brake in. But Kyle Busch is going to dial a little bit of rear brake in, try to help that pushing condition. Right now, he's got a miracle of Jason Keller.
We had talked earlier about 3 seconds was the difference between the 5 of Kyle Busch and the 22 of Jason Keller. Well, if they go by the start-finish line, 0.14 seconds separate the leader and second place, Jason Keller. Now, Jason Keller has led the most laps here. 151 laps he led back in 2002. But Kyle Busch has led all of the laps so far. So Jason Keller trying to reel in that #1 position for the first time. Here comes the 5 of Kyle Busch.
What a great move by Jason Keller. He got down on the power coming off turn number 3. He was able to out-accelerate Kyle Busch and take the lead for the first time. Kyle Busch has lost the lead this entire race.
And that's the first time Jason Keller has had the lead this season.
That's incredible. As good as that team always in, that's a championship caliber team. That's the same team that won the championship with Jeff Green. Jason Keller's been second in the points before, so this team knows how to win.
Jason Keller knows how to run well here too. His 3rd race he has led here. average start of our Nazareth winner is 5th. Currently out in front, Jason Keller started 4th, so he could actually improve that average.
Yeah, see, it's going to be a little bit deceiving if somebody like Casey Kane or Greg Biffle wins the race, because they really started to the back of the pack, but they officially will get credit for starting wherever their cars were qualified. Speaking of Casey Kane, he has just now gone a lap down. That's our leader, the 22 of Jason Keller. Casey Kane right behind him, and 1 lap down now, and there's our 2nd place car of Kyle Busch, the 5 Lowe's car.
There are actually 23 cars on the lead lap currently. Out in front of them is the 22 of Jason Keller.
Got Johnny Sauter in the pits. He's the first of our leaders, or of our good competitive cars, that has made a pit stop. He's going to get 4 tires. It's a little bit early. We've only completed 63 laps. We fully expected everyone to run about 80 laps.
And Johnny Sauter could be just not thinking that the car is worth anything. Mark, what's going on?
That team decided to short pit because the car was so tight they were losing too much ground. So they thought, let's make the adjustment. Let's get in here, get fresh rubber before the lead cars do. And perhaps we can pick up some valuable track position, gain some ground, and maybe hold it after this series of green flag pit stops.
Well, the worst thing that could happen to Johnny Sauter right now is for the caution to come out, because he will be at least 2 laps down should the caution come out before our leaders make their pit stops.
Jason Keller putting some distance between himself and Kyle Busch. We've had 2 different leaders. Jason Keller now, Kyle Busch at the start of the race. Bobby Hamilton Jr. out in front. He's been leading since lap 75. Means 30 laps in front of the pack for Bobby Hamilton Jr.
A little bit over a 5-second lead right now on our 2nd place car, Jason Leffler.
Ron Hornaday Jr. 6 seconds behind our leader. We're just behind Leffler in 3rd position.
Jason Keller was able to get by Casey Atwood for the 4th position. He's about 7 seconds behind right now.
Kyle Busch, after leading the first 54 laps of the race, has dropped back to 8th position. That happened mostly in the pit stop that took place, and Kyle Busch actually looks as though he's been involved in maybe a little altercation.
You can see right on the very front grill area of his car, he's got a little bit of damage, so he's had to move somebody out of the way, just like he might do with Johnny Sauter here, unless he gets by him fairly quick. Johnny Sauter 2 laps down right now. He slides up out of the way, and you know, that's almost a situation right there where Johnny Sauter says, hey, I see Kyle Busch coming, I know he's faster, so I don't cost myself a whole lot of time, let me drive in this corner, I'll slide up a little bit, give him the bottom of the racetrack, and I won't lose 1/10 of a second, which is exactly what he did there. Pretty good move by Johnny Sauter.
Kyle Busch, our pole sitter. The Taco Bell trivia question today: who is the only pole winner to win a NASCAR Busch Series race at Nazareth? Now, Phil, I would expect you to know this, being as though you've run 6 races here.
I was here when that happened. Unfortunately, it wasn't me, but you want me to give you the answer, or we want to look at the answer later?
Well, if you know it, go ahead and fire it at me.
Elliott Sadler.
That's very good. Elliott Sadler, 1997, was our pole winner and ended up winning that race.
Yeah, that was Elliott's first career Busch win. Both driving for Gary Bechtel.
The Marines 25 of Bobby Hamilton Jr. looking as though he's untouchable right now.
Well, we know we're going to have another pit stop. What a great clean race so far. We've only had the 1 caution flag. I think the record here is 3 caution flags. It's the minimum amount of cautions we have ever had here. So he's got a great lead right now. He would love to see this race go green all the way, so he wouldn't have to worry about getting caught up. Whoa, a little trouble right there.
And look at that. Jeff Purvis moves on the inside of both of them. Casey Kane got a little loose in the 38. Moved up the track, and Jeff Purvis moves right by.
Robert Presley got in the back of Casey Kane there.
Let's take a look at that again.
See, Casey Kane leads this group down into turn number 3. Here's Robert. He gets sideways. That's what happened. Had to get off the throttle. Robert Presley The 47 car got in the back of him. Jeff Purvis drove by them both. Now Casey's raced Robert down into turn number 1 there, and Robert was able to go ahead and make the pass and take over the 19th position.
And that's that corner that we're talking about, where they're coming from actually an elevated position. They're coming downhill into that turn, and so a lot of drivers say that it's like Martinsville, where they've got to really get on the brakes so they're not going too fast into that corner.
And we got to report that Greg Biffle was having a brake problem, and I tell you, you don't want to drive into turn number 3 without all your brakes. You use all the brakes you have getting in turn number 3 here. You don't use hardly any brakes going through the dogleg turn number 1, and just very little brakes going into turn number 2, but you use all you have going into turn number 3. There's a good shot of Greg Biffle.
And Greg was talking about his brake problems early on, but currently he's in 10th position, trying to reel in the top spot, which is held by Bobby Hamilton Jr. Jason Leffler, Ron Hornaday, Jason Keller, and Casey Atwood are your top 5 at Nazareth. Our biggest movers today, Greg Biffle, advancing 33 positions. Again, had to start at the back because his car was qualified by another driver. Michael Waltrip and Casey Kane also in that same situation.
Yeah, exactly. Our top 3 biggest movers had to start at the back by virtue of somebody else qualifying their cars. Martin Truex has a nice move going. He's all the way up in the 6th position right now.
Take a look at this pass. Kyle Busch puts on David Green.
Just gets down on the power a little bit coming off turn number 3. Beats him down to the start finish line, which allows him to get into turn number 1, the dogleg, before David Green. Great job by Kyle Busch.
And you saw Kyle Busch going through that dogleg almost a little sideways, like he had maybe put a little too much into it going in.
Yeah, he wanted to make sure he cleared David Green by the time he got to that dogleg. You do not want to go through that corner side by side. So he might have got on there a little bit hot, got a little bit loose off the corner. We heard he was pushing before. They made some adjustments, and I think they have freed that car up.
Kyle Busch currently running in the 7th position. Just in front of him, the 8 of Martin Truex Jr. in 6th. Jason Leffler with a good run here, as well as the past couple weeks. He's sitting in 2nd position. Ron Hornaday Jr. was right on his tail, but he's able to put a little distance between himself and Ron Hornaday now. But Bobby Hamilton still over 4 seconds in front of 2nd place Jason Leffler.
But several laps ago, we talked about Bobby Hamilton being over 5 seconds ahead of Jason Leffler. So Jason is actually catching him right now. That time by, he's less than 4 seconds, 3.84 seconds behind Bobby Hamilton. That's because Bobby Hamilton has some pretty heavy traffic. You see right there the Clorox number 47 of Robert Presley. He's the next man on Bobby Hamilton's hit list. He wants to put a lap down.
We saw the difference there between our leader, Bobby Hamilton Jr., and Jason Leffler in the 0-0. Now Jason Leffler is beginning to reel in that leader. And Jason Leffler has never led a lap at Nazareth Speedway before. And I'm sure he would like to do it at this final running of Nazareth race in the Busch Series.
You see at the top of the screen, there's 76 laps to go. That means the next pit stop these drivers make will be the last one they will have to. So everybody right now is in their window. So should we get a caution flag, everybody comes to pit road, that should be the last time we'll see them.
You see the differential between Bobby Hamilton Jr. and Jason Leffler. He's eating away at that lead.
He's bringing Ron Hornaday with him, because right now you've got four cars within 5 seconds right now, where before Bobby Hamilton had over a 5-second lead on 2nd place.
With more on Jason Leffler, Glenn Jarrett.
I just talked to his crew chief, Robert Booty Barker, and Robert told me that the car is actually kind of tight right now, but must not be too off of that. I asked him how tight, and he said, well, too tight. And I said, well, how tight is too tight? He said, well, he just doesn't like it, but he's still reeling the leader in. So he said they would make an adjustment on it on their next and final pit stop, hopefully their final stop, but just a little bit too tight to Jason's liking now. Of course, Jason's one of those guys can't come out of open wheel racing, and he likes the car a little bit free, a little bit loose, but he's still doing a great job out there running 2nd, and at the rate he's going, he may be leading before too long.
They are at a record pace right now, Rick. We've only had the one caution flag for debris. The race record for this race is 104, a little over 104 miles an hour, and right now they're at a probably 120 mile an hour pace, 122 mile an hour pace. So they would establish the all-time record for Nazareth, because there's not going to be another one.
we mentioned earlier, Randy LaJoie will hold the track record for qualifying. Did that last year. It wasn't improved yesterday, so that will go in the record books forever.
Good look at the long back straightaway downhill into turn number 3. A fairly tight corner. Use all the brake you have.
There's Mike Bliss making the move on the 0-2 of Hermie Sadler. With more on him, we go to Mark Garrell.
Well, guys, you talked earlier about how this was a rollable all left turns, but had a little bit of road course, but people didn't shift. Well, Mike Bliss is fighting a very tight condition right now in his race car. So what he is doing, he is shifting, going down into turn number 3, and using that to try to pick up some ground and try to make up for a race car that isn't handling quite as well as he would like right now.
Mike has a lot of damage on the left side of that car. That may be why his car's not handling quite as well as he would have liked. More than likely that happened from a lap car. We saw Mike well up into the top 10 earlier before that pit stop. You see all the damage there. The left front fender is poked in front of the tire. That will hurt his front downforce. He's now currently being shown in the 14th position, but he was in the top 10 prior to that first caution flag.
Well, let's take a look back at what happened to the 20.
Tim Fedewa, the inside, the number 12 there, just slides out a little bit. Makes a little bit of contact with Mike Bliss. Now when we get down to start finish line, nobody wants to back off. Mike Bliss tries to get in line behind Tim Fedewa, and David Strimming says, hey, I wanted that position, and he made the contact that did all the damage to Mike Bliss's car.
Out in front, Bobby Hamilton Jr. still dominating. He's been leading since lap 75. We're on lap 131. And a guy who I'm sure doesn't want to back off at all is Ron Hornaday right now, moving up to second. He just got by Jason Leffler. Let's take a look at how he did it.
Here they are coming off turn number 3. Ron got the power down. Now he's going to try to beat him to the dogleg. You do not want to go through here side by side. Jason Leffler realized that Ron Hornaday was on the inside. He had position. He backed off enough to let Ron Hornaday get in there. Good move with about 60 laps to go.
And Ron Hornaday Jr., the back end of that car never came out on that curve. And so he's got that car dialed in. It is stuck to the track.
Sure, as you see on the inside of that corner, there's some ripple strips, and all the drivers pretty much drive over the ripple strips, and they're pretty rough. But what it does, it makes that left front slant. You get a little more grip because you go over that ripple strip, and that allows the car not to be as tight as you exit that corner. So that ripple strip really helps the handling of the cars.
Bobby Hamilton Jr. out in front of Ron Hornaday by just over 2.5 seconds. And so now Ron Hornaday trying to reel in Bobby Hamilton to win his 3rd Nazareth race. One of 2 drivers that have won 2 here, Tim Fedewa and Ron Hornaday, the 2 drivers with 2 wins at Nazareth.
Tim Fedewa right now currently just outside the top 10 in the 12th position. Ron Hornaday now, he has some fairly clean racetrack, and he's gaining on Bobby Hamilton. There's a great battle right there for 5th. That's Casey Atwood, the Navy Chevrolet number 14, and Martin Truex. They're putting a lap on Clint Boyer. He's now 1 lap down, currently being shown in the 21st position.
With more on Martin Truex Jr. Mark.
Well, you know, guys, he is used to coming from the back to the front here at Nazareth. We were here a couple of years ago. He won the pole position for a Busch North race, but he did not pass the inspection, so NASCAR put him in the tail end of the field. So all he did was get down to business and drive his way up to a 5th place finish. So Martin Truex knows how to get it done here when it comes to getting through traffic.
The 5 car of Kyle Busch, Kyle hasn't said very much lately until just a few moments ago. He keyed the mic and said just 2 words, just cruising. He is starting to gain on the 8 car and the 4-2. We got a caution now.
Problems on the track. Mike Bliss in the 20 getting into the wall.
See the right front tire at a very bad angle right there, so a lot of damage to the Rockwell Automation Chevrolet. Just over 50 laps to go right here, so all these cars will be making pit stops. You see the window net down on Mike Bliss's car. That's his signal that he's okay. Just wants to wait till the traffic clears a little bit before he gets out of the car.
Another car that has stopped on the track, the 43 of Aaron Fike, stopped coming out of turn 2. But as you mentioned, Mike Bliss letting the officials here know he's okay as he climbs out of that Rockwell Automation number 20, or tries to climb out. As I'd mentioned, the 43 of Aaron Fike stopping in turn number 2. Not sure what problems he is having. And you see Mike Bliss climbing out of the 20, talking to the safety crew.
See the Hans device, the head and neck restraint system. That's the black thing right behind his helmet. It's a great innovation right there for safety for these drivers.
Mandatory ambulance ride. He'll go to the care center in the infield, get checked out, make sure he's all right. And the track crew planning on getting the 20 off of the track. Bobby Hamilton Jr. out in front. Again, he's been leading since lap 75, dominating this race. Ron Hornaday just made the pass on Jason Leffler, trying to reel him in.
We saw what a good pit stop did for Bobby Hamilton. He came in on the caution flag. His team got him out in the lead, and he hasn't been passed since. So this pit stop is going to be extremely critical. Kyle Busch, as good as he was early, has only been able to make his way back up to the 7th position. So the team's on pit road. It's their race right now.
Behind the pace car, Bobby Hamilton Jr. went by the opening to pit road. It was closed. It's closed first time by when the caution comes out.
Yeah, the 43 car of Aaron Fike is still on pit road, so on the access road prior to pit road. So I think they will probably, there he is right there, it will probably leave pit road closed until his car has been able to move out of the way, so these guys will have an unobstructed way into the pits.
On the track, they will run 40 miles an hour. Pit road speed is 35 miles an hour. And we saw how important pit road speed is last night for or actually the night before last during the qualifying for the All-Star race.
Yeah, they had a little bit different, a little unique format for qualifying. They were allowed to run 3 laps on the racetrack, and in between those 3 laps, they had to have a 4-tire change pit stop. But they had to beat a pit road speed by the time they got to pit road. They could exit as fast as they wanted to, but there were about 8 drivers that were penalized for speeding on pit road getting to their pits.
That obviously is different here. 75 feet before the first pit stall is the line that they have to be going 35 miles an hour once they get into the pits. And they must also maintain that 35 miles an hour until they're 75 feet past the last pit, so that there's no speeding on pit road, making sure that all of the crews are safe.
Casey Kane will be the recipient of the free pass once again. We've had 2 caution flags, 2 free passes, and Casey Kane got them both times. But here they come.
All your leaders coming down pit road, and let's go down to Mark Garrow.
Bobby Hamilton's Jr.'s crew is now on top of the wall right now. They desperately need a stop like they had the last time, 14 and change. They'd like to do it again. Here's Bobby bringing that car, and he slides it into the box perfectly right on line. And now they go to work on the right-hand side. The car is basically perfect. They're going to make a little adjustment, however, just to chase the racetrack a little bit. Not much of an adjustment, just a small one. They've gone to the left side now. Again, the stop looks very quick for Bobby Hamilton. He's down and away. 15.8. Let's go to Glenn Jarrett.
Big problem down here with Ron Hornaday. The tire carrier got tripped on twice now. He has fallen over the right front tire. He tripped one time, lost the tire. Then they threw the tire right in front of him as he ran back. This is going to cost them. They were going to make a track bar adjustment. The car's a little bit tight, so we're going to loosen up on it. I see 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars. Oh, man, this is costing Hornaday. That was really unfortunate. Jason Keller in the 22 car also had a bad pit stop. With only about 50 laps left when we go green, guys, I don't know if they got time enough to get back to the front.
It's going to be tough, Glenn. Look, you see the 5 car still in the pits right there. That is going to be disastrous for Kyle Busch.
We take a look back at what happened with Ron Hornaday. He had problems. Here's his crew, and you see the tire carrier actually getting clipped, it looked like, by Mike Bliss.
Jason Keller, the 22 car that's pitting right in front of Ron Hornaday. Now he's got to run back around the car, but that holds the pit stop up, and that's just enough. These pit stops are so critical right here. Here's crew chief Butch Hilton. not real happy with what went on pit road.
Very disappointed AC Delco team as they were running very well, having problems in the pits. That'll back them up. NASCAR Busch Series continues from Nazareth Speedway. Hamilton Jr. out in front of David Green at Timberworth 37, able to get by the 8 of Martin Truex Jr.
Take a look at how Martin Truex lost second position. That's the 39 of Andy Poundstein. It slowed Martin enough down getting into turn number 3 that allowed David Green to close on him. Watch him. He's going to drive by on the inside. Martin realized he was there. No sense going in. Turn number 1, the dogleg on the outside. And that's how David Green took over the second position. Now, Martin Truex is just as good as David Green, but right now, David Green has the position.
Very difficult to pass on this track. We saw the fact that most of our leaders have been able to put some distance between themselves and second place. Currently, just under 2 seconds difference between Bobby Hamilton Jr. and David Green. That's been them trying to negotiate through lapped cars.
There's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, you get the benefit of the flag man. He's going to give these other drivers, the slower cars, the lap cars, the move over flag. Now he's going to give the move over flag for the cars in front of David Green too. But when the guys look in the mirror and they see the leader coming and they know he's the leader, they have a tendency to get out of the way a little bit quicker than they do for some of the other guys. So that's one of the advantages. Plus he has clean racetrack. He's got clean air right now. David Green's got to concern himself with not making any mistakes, allowing Martin Truex to either get up on the inside of him or on the outside of him. So he has to watch his mirror. Right now, Bobby Hamilton doesn't have to watch his mirror. He knows he's got almost a 2-second lead. He's got clean racetrack. Everything going his way. His pit stops have been flawless. He said, hey, let's run this race to the end. Please no more caution flags, and let's get this thing done.
Bobby Hamilton Jr. took over the race lead on lap 75. During our last pit stop, gave up 1 lap of the lead to Ron Hornaday, but took it right back. And so Bobby Hamilton Jr. has been leading predominantly this whole race.
Do you know why Ron Hornaday led that 1 lap? He actually led that lap on pit road because Bobby Hamilton's pit selection was way before the start-finish line. He came in as the leader. He stopped. Ron Hornaday's pit stall was way beyond the start-finish line, so he actually led that lap under caution on pit road. But it's still 5 points.
David Stremme has moved the trim spot 32 up to 4th position.
Great battle right here. Michael Waltrip and Ron Hornaday. That was a good battle for the 8th position. Michael has it and Ron wants it.
Aaron's Dream Machine, number 99 of Michael Waltrip, just in front of the AC Delco number 2. 12 years since Michael Waltrip has driven on this track, and just a year ago Ron Hornaday won on this track.
That's just what kind of talent you have, Michael Waltrip. What a good race car driver. Again, hasn't been here in 12 years, never made a lap of practice. It was in Charlotte for the last 2 or 3 days, and here he is. Shane Beal did a great job qualifying and setting up his car, and he's driven it into the top 10.
Inside of 20 laps remain at Nazareth for the final race. Hamilton Jr. is out in front. Welcome back to Nazareth Speedway, NASCAR Busch Series Racing. If the race were to end right now, Martin Truex Jr. would be your points leader.
We went away to commercial. Martin was running 3rd. 2nd was David Green, and not anymore. See Martin try to drive on the inside of him through turn number 2 there. David sees him there. He's on the outside. Martin gets the power down off turn number 2, beats him down the long backstretch downhill into the hard braking turn number 3. Martin's actually gaining on our leader, Bobby Hamilton. He's down to about a 1.5 seconds behind. He was about 2.5 seconds about 3 laps ago. Bobby got caught up in a little bit of traffic. Now Martin may go through that same traffic and may have to open that lead up again for Bobby Hamilton, but Martin Truex has a great car. There he is. What an advantage to catch a car on the straightaway like he just did. That's where you want to catch these cars and pass them, on the straightaway.
Martin Truex Jr. has been running 0.2 seconds faster per lap than Bobby Hamilton Jr. with only 11 to go. He's got enough time to catch him. With more on David Green, Mark Garrow.
His crew chief Jason Radcliffe decided to go for the home run on that last pit stop. He'd been tight all day, so they made a dramatic change to loosen the car up. And guess what? They went too far. When that run started, David thought, hey, I've got something good enough to win. As a matter of fact, he came over the radio and said, I think I can win this thing. But the longer they went, the looser it got. And now all he can do is watch the two front cars drive away.
Battle for fourth position here. Jason Keller just in front of David Strimming.
I think that was a pass. I think Jason was running in the fifth position behind David Strimming and was able to get by and move up into the fourth position.
Glenn?
Well, you're exactly right, Phil. Jason has been consistently the quickest car out there, and the second quickest has been David Strimming. Strimming started back in 13th position. He quickly moved into the top 10 and has been there most of the day. They made a slight adjustment on the car on that last pit stop. He hasn't said a word since then. He's really happy with the car, and as I said, the car has been really, really fast. The only problem is Jason Keller was just a little quicker, took the position away. But nevertheless, a great run for David Strimming. Looks like he's going to get a top 5.
Let's take a look at that pass. Jason Keller in the 22. You see Strimming getting a little bit loose.
Got real loose there. Had to get out of the throttle to catch the back end of the car. Allowed Jason to drive right by him, beat him down in the turn number 1. And now he's opened up a little bit of space on David Strimming. But I'm telling you, we've got gonna have a battle for a lead here pretty soon.
A great battle.
There you see our leaders, Rick.
Nobody in between Bobby Hamilton Jr. and Martin Truex Jr. And Martin Truex Jr. has been running consistently faster laps than Bobby Hamilton Jr.
Look at the race average, 110 miles an hour today. Our record was 104. We go caution-free the rest of the race, it's going to obliterate that old race record.
Now, who will take it? Will it be Bobby Hamilton Jr. or will it be Martin Truex Jr.?
Well, that I don't know. We're going to have to wait and find out.
Well, there's 7 laps to go. Let's find out.
Martin's definitely coming. He's closed down the inside of 0.7 of a second, or about 5 car lengths.
Bobby Hamilton Jr. just in front of Martin Truex Jr. 6 laps to go.
Martin was about 0.13 of a second faster that lap than Bobby Hamilton, so got a lot of traffic. You saw about 4 cars these drivers will catch in about a lap or 2, so traffic could play a role in the outcome of this race.
The Marines team watching anxiously. They see the gap that their driver has lost to Martin Truex Jr. 5 laps to go.
There's an interesting observer, Martin Truex Sr., watching his son try to run down Bobby Hamilton Jr. Remember, getting to him is one thing. This is a very difficult racetrack to pass on, so getting by him could be something else.
The chance to number 8, Martin Truex Jr. trying to reel in the Marines. Number 25 of Bobby Hamilton Jr.
You saw how rough the racetrack was right up against the wall. Martin was as far up as he could get to try to get a good angle into the dogleg. Gained about 2 car lengths, it looks like.
That time by, they ran almost identical lap times. And so Bobby Hamilton Jr. looks as though he's getting up on the wheel with 3 laps of racing to go.
Have not quite caught those slow cars. Actually, lap car. Jeff Purvis is one of those cars. He's the last car on the lead lap. Currently running in the 17th position. Here they are exiting turn number 2.
That was Bobby Hamilton's Jr. shouting words of encouragement to her husband.
Martin got a great run off that corner there, but so did Bobby. 2 laps to go.
Two miles. Martin Truex Jr., Bobby Hamilton Jr. Here they come to lap traffic.
What a big break for Bobby Jr. to be able to catch that lap car of Mark Green on the back straightaway. Mark moved over to the outside. Bobby drove by on the inside. Did not cost him any time whatsoever.
White flag comes out for Bobby Hamilton Jr.
Got some cars too wide right in front of Jeff Purvis, the 1 car. He's right on his bumper.
Here comes Martin Truex Jr. on the outside. They're in lap traffic. Bobby Hamilton Jr. on the inside. It's a drag race down the backstretch. They come into turn number 3. Bobby Hamilton Jr. moves to the outside. Here comes Martin Truex Jr. as they come out of 4. And Martin Truex Jr. will take the checkered flag at Nazareth.
What a terrific finish. Bobby Jr. drove in that corner a little bit too hard, slid up the racetrack into the lap car, and allowed Martin Truex to drive by for win number 4.
Unbelievable finish in the Busch Series. Martin Truex Jr. claiming the victory, his 4th of the season.
And a victorious Martin Truex climbs from the car. We're going to get a big shower here. All right. He was pretty hot sitting in. All right. A Powerade bath. Man, guys, that's one of the most exciting last laps that we have seen in a long, long time. Getting congratulations from the crew. Martin, come on in here, man. What an exciting finish. Just you had to dig all day. You never gave up. Tell us about that last lap.
Wow, lap cars, man, they can change the outcome of a short track race like this. Bobby Jr. did what he's supposed to do, went around the bottom, and I looked outside because that's the only shot I had. I knew wasn't nobody coming, and I seen the outside wasn't good. I cut back underneath them, got to run down the back straightaway, and the rest is history.
Well, now, let me ask you something. Now, we had a little celebration, a little get-together last night watching the race. You were cooking the clams for us. Does this mean that we're going to get fed every night before a Busch race?
Yeah, I think we're going to have clams every night before the Busch race. But, oh, man, these guys, what about them? I'll tell you what, they won the race for us. Chance 2 crew, Taco Bell, everybody involved with this team, awesome pit stops. They won the race for us. They ought to be proud of themselves.
All right, I was listening to Bono on the radio. He was telling you on that last lap that lap traffic would play a part in the outcome of that race, telling you not to give up.
Yeah, well, you know, you never give up. You just keep digging all the time. Don't matter. We started 20th today, and it wasn't looking good there for a while. My car was real bad at the start of the race, and Bono done a great job adjusting on it. And we just stayed up on the wheel all day long and never give up. And these guys won the race for us. So proud of them.
We're proud of you. Go celebrate, buddy. Let's go to Mark Garrow.
I'm with a disappointed Bobby Hamilton Jr. Bobby, walk us through that last lap.
Well, I mean, getting out down into 1, they had lap cars and Purvis and that whole group. But overall, Marines, Timberland Pro, Robert Yates, everybody, all the Marines over there battling. Appreciate it, guys.